Welcome everyone on Zoom, and welcome everyone who is live. This is as close as we could come to making a circle, and circles are incredible because it's the one shape where everyone's hearts face everyone's hearts. We're going to start with a hello ritual, which is called high peace. So you might find your peace fingers, and this is called the mindful high five. Takes a little bit of delicacy to find somebody else's peace fingers and land on them. Just go to either side of you and give high peace to the people around you. High peace. You know this because I already did it with you.
Let's tell you who we are. My name is Klaeysen. I'm a member of the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture, where I was married and raised our children. And I'm also a clergy leader, a leader emeritus of the New York Society, and my colleague and partner, Audrey, together we wrote this course.
I run programming for children, family, youth, and intergenerational life. I've done a decade of work at Brooklyn Ethical, and now I have been at New York Ethical, where Anne and I became professional colleagues and really got deep at work. What we did in the last 2 years is we worked together on consolidating our experience of creating ethical community in order to provide the tools of community building to all of you. And we did it by creating a course published by the American Humanist Association. Would you like to talk about it?
Sure. And we're going to display it, but also I want to remind all of us of the place where we are. We're going to have a few quotations today, and we're going to start with one of them, the place where we meet to seek the highest is holy ground. So we are together in this place. Many of your meeting houses and your societies have that sign, the place where people meet. In Brooklyn, we say the place where we meet to seek holy ground. So every time we gather, that's what we do. And so, continue.
In this place that we are creating our own sacred space, our own space of the heart, I just want to take a moment to ground you. So just for a second, wiggle your sit bones into your chair. Really take a little wiggle and stamp your feet. These are the surfaces supporting you, and you can feel if you push down into those surfaces that just like a rooting plant, you grow through your stem, spine, right? So just for a second, find that rooting and growing of your own self, and a breathing on purpose. We call it bopping, breathing on purpose, B-O-P. So for a minute, just bop. And you can just know that this growing process is always happening in you, and if you need a little energy, just root. It will come right through your body as energy and grow your focus. So you might feel the blossoming of your brain whenever you are doing this process. And whenever you're feeling a little need for energy throughout the weekend, you can remember this. We're going to take you into an invitation, which is on your seat. It looks like this. It has a QR code, and it invites you to do a free course about humanist ceremony, humanist family life ceremonies, it's called. It's a free course that Anne and I wrote, and the QR code will take you right to it. So this actually piece of paper is for you to take back to your communities. Put on a bulletin board and invite your communities all to do this course with you. You could even structure it within your societies if you want, and do it collectively or individually. You can hop around within the course freely and let it serve you, or you can do it from beginning to end and take a deep dive study. Anne and I are here for you all weekend, so if you go into this course while we're here together this weekend, we would be happy to, talk to you about it more and throughout the weekend. So this is your Awesome home assignment. And it is our gift to you.
A little bit about that, about the gift. It's our gift to you. We want you to recognize that you are all a gift to us and you're a gift to one another. And that kind of frames what we're going to be doing now. We're going to give you an example of how you can create some kind of a tradition, a ritual together, and a little bit about that. So I said that Audrey and I are partners. We have different temperaments, different perspective, different ways of doing things. And sometimes when you start to do something like this, you might feel some anxiety. I know I do. I feel a little anxiety. I feel like I'm just not creative enough, I'm not fun enough. So I always reach out to my partner, who's very creative, and we make it work. So we'd like to sort of model for you how in your families, your friend circles, your societies, whatever organizations you're in, look for the people who can complement you, who are different from you, and find that kind of partnership where you can work together.
So our course might help you develop some of your own intergenerational festivals, or if you want to be celebrating a holiday, but you really don't want all the sort of forces from the dominant culture coming in and dictating, and you really do need to grow something strong enough to be compelling, actually, so that other people in your community are willing to drop some of that, some of those easily graspable things. So creating ceremony, it is an act of imagination, it is an act of humanist imagination. And so today what we're going to do with you is to model, just basically by collaborating, thinking about our shared values and how we want to bring us together, we decided let's weave us together as a community, and we made a kind of a program of the day. And that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to weave us together through an example of celebration making. Okay? All right. So you want me to instruct? Okay. We're going to start this by acknowledging that we all live on Earth. It's actually the one thing that we have in common, no matter what we think, feel, wonder about. We all live on Earth. And so we're starting with a green ribbon and a blue ribbon to acknowledge water and land, and we're going to pass the ribbon, and as we do, you're going to hold the ribbon in your own hand. It's going to unify us. These ribbons will go all the way around the circle until each one comes back, but as they pass each other, once you have two ribbons in your hand, you can begin to the weaving process. So you can begin to go under and over and through. Think about the way water moves, okay? And let yourself weave the green and the blue together to make our first go around of the circle.
And here's our first quotation.
And you can begin that process. So feel it as you go. You can twist and turn it as you go, and eventually you'll weave it. As you do, I'd like to offer you a few words. Of the origins of things, we know nothing. Somehow the secret of the universe is hidden in our breast. Somehow the destinies of the universe depend upon our exertions.
The ethical movement stands for the idea that personal relations between individuals and between group are of supreme concern. Through right personal relations, that is where you get life. There are the eternal springs of the eternal fountain.
Oh, they're starting to meet. This is a wonderful moment.
Keep passing it. If you want to weave it.
We need to feel that no effort is ever wasted, that no honest reaching out toward the good is in vain. Throw yourself into the stream of the world's goodness, and you will feel the force of the current and the direction in which it is setting. Not from without, but from within flow divine waters that renew the soul. Or we could say nourishing waters that renew the soul. Or we could say the self. I want to invite you, as you hear these quotes, to know that there's some translation you can give to yourself. If you find a word that kind of doesn't sit with you well, you can actually translate it into what can I digest, right, in this concept, in this vision. So as we continue, I wanted to let you know that these quotes that we share today, all of them, are from someone who roots our ethical culture lives. Indeed, this is Felix Adler's voice. And we can take his voice and wonder about it and question it and read it and be in dialogue with it. And in fact, that's what we do as ethical culturists. We can also take on many of the other voices that have come before us and that are braiding themselves into our philosophies, our personal philosophies and our shared philosophies. And so as we do this...
Is the blue coming around? Okay. Oh, we ran out.
Oh. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Oh, that was a surprise.
Great, okay.
So we honor Felix Adler as an ancestor. And as we do that, we know that we're in dialogue with him. And, you know, he can't really talk back, so we really have a lot of liberty with how we are in dialogue with him. I know, right? And so what we're going to do now is a go-around in which, and I call it a merry-go-around. Everyone can have a turn if they want to speak out. And as we pass the purple, and I'm going to start the purple moving actually because we're going to have to pass the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start the purple moving around.
How about if we do the ribbon one way and the mic the other way?
Oh, okay. Okay. Wait. Well, actually, no, because I want, when the purple passes you, you're gonna secure in yourself who might you share with us that is a voice in dialogue with your ethical self. I've shared Felix Adler today as I hold the purple ribbon, and as the purple ribbon passes through your hands, you might like to bring forth someone whose wisdom you have built upon. And this is called our ancestor circle. So we're really thinking about the people who have lived before us and the wisdoms upon whose shoulders we are building our own philosophical and heart-lit views.
And we'll start it off with Felix Adler. The dead are not dead if we have loved them truly. In our own lives, we can give them a kind of immortality by taking up the work they have left unfinished. This is something that we say every Sunday at the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture. I don't know if you do as well, but I'd like you to be thinking about maybe ways in which we can bring our collective ancestor, Felix Adler, into our lives a little bit more. I remember one of my colleagues, Randy, I don't see him here right now, he used to say that at the St. Louis Society, they used to talk about Adler as the uncle who was rattling around up in the attic. I think it's time to invite him back downstairs, into the living room, into the dining room, into the playroom, and see that there are some quotations from him that we can use as we do in Brooklyn on a weekly basis, and ways in which we can bring him into our lives as a beloved ancestor.
So as you share an ancestor's name with us, you might give just maybe one sentence about who they are so that we can bring them into our understanding, okay? And when we get to the end, if there are people on Zoom who have typed in their ancestral thinker that they want to offer or inspiration, we can have somebody read those out, okay?
I don't have any quotes, but I do.
A name and a little sentence of who they are.
Oh, okay. The first is Solomon Gibson Jr., my father, who I often give credit for giving me my solid center. The other is Superman, who fed me my idealism.
I don't know. There are so many influences in life that I really have difficulty picking one. Is it necessary I pick one?
Only if you want us to know who that is.
But I don't know who it is.
Okay.
So.
You're right that there are many, and so if, you can always pass. You can pass.
I'll pass.
A go-around is an offering of freedom. You may always pass if you want to.
For me, it would be my father-in-law, Stanley Rubin.
Oh, that's nice. My aunt, Rosalind Schwartz, whose cartooned images tattooed on my arm.
My older brother, Mike, who I lost a couple of years ago, and he was a self-taught musician and a writer, a fantastic writer, and an atheist. And I saw him, towards the end. I was there towards the end, and he just faced death in a rational way. And that the fact that he didn't have a conversion at the end was very reassuring to me.
I'm going to go with Robert Pirsig, the author of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, who taught me about the quality and the importance of knowing yourself and knowing that you yourself are the judge of what is good and what is true.
One of my spiritual ancestors would be Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk with whom I studied mindfulness.
I'm going to pass.
My late father, Jim, who set an example for me to follow.
I would say, first off, Kurt Vonnegut, who brought me to humanism. I probably wouldn't even have known what it was if I hadn't been a big Vonnegut fan. And then Octavia Butler, who makes me want to be a shaper of change.
Thomas Dewey, a Midwesterner for a while, and a practical humanist.
I will say for my four grandparents on all sides, I met one when she was still alive. So there's Rosa Julstrom, Clifford Julstrom, who grew up, not grew up, but lived in Macomb, Illinois, and were activists in their own way, political and otherwise. And then my grandparents in Peru, who I never met, Julio and Carmen, who are also activists in spaces where it wasn't too popular.
For my grandma and for my philosophy professor, Jeff Johnson, for him also especially helping me to understand about ethics, being a great human, and I feel like philosophy is a must for every human, and I feel like ethics is part of the core humanities.
I'm gonna say Linda Richardson. Folks who are from the Philadelphia Ethical Society may remember her. Even though I didn't meet her through ethical culture, I came to ethical culture in essentially because of her family. And there was a quote that she had in a book of black women who had affected change in Philadelphia. And it said, you have to see what can be instead of what is. So yeah.
My history professor, Peter Geiler, who's no longer with us, who taught that it wasn't military power or economic power that determined the course of human affairs, but human beliefs and human values.
My late Uncle Jules, my dad's middle brother, he spent the majority of his adult life traveling the world and doing good work. He became close friends with Jimmy and Rosalind Carter during their Habitat for Humanity days, and he was trying to understand the Palestinians during the 1967 war by going there.
Yeah, I would say if ethical culture had a saint, it would be John Lovejoy Elliott, who is always a model. And someone mentioned Robert Ingersoll. Robert Ingersoll was a family friend of John Elliott's family. His father was a very close friend of Robert Ingersoll, who came and visited them often in, I think, Illinois, where he grew up, or Iowa, where he grew up.
My ancestor is much closer. It's my father, whom everybody called Uncle Bob. He was a truck driver. You saw him most often in grease-covered dungarees with grease under his fingernails. And he said to me many times, Carolyn, there's good in everyone. But the thing he said most often, and I puzzle over this even to this day, is he repeatedly told me, honey, you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. And I don't know why, but he said it a lot.
My great aunt Frances, daughter of immigrants, who resided on the periphery of my dysfunctional family, and I spent time with her, and she was this very free spirit and full of joie de vivre. She was a wonderful surrogate parent for me.
Harry Stack Sullivan, who was an American psychiatrist who worked with schizophrenics, and I have one of his quotes at the bottom of my emails: "We are all much more simply human than otherwise," and I take great solace in that.
I'll claim Marcus Singer as my ancestor. He started the Sidgwick Society, which has no meetings, no dues, no publications, and just consists of people who want to follow Sidgwick's example.
I'm Rich Wash in Asheville, and I'm going to go with my father, who taught me a tremendous amount. And two of the things that I'll point out: one, he encouraged me not to be silent. So if there's injustice, speak out. And the second was conduct your life so that whatever you do, if it ends up on the front page of the New York Times, you won't be embarrassed.
Wow. I'm going to use my father also as my ideal, and also my negative, like not what to be. He was the son of an immigrant family. They prospered during the Depression and then lost everything. And then he rose up, he had his own business, and sent me to college. So, but he was a typical Italian immigrant in the stereotypical way of Bensonhurst. I said it at a board meeting once. I mean, he didn't, but that community chased minorities down Belt Parkway, and I don't know, did he die or not? I don't remember the news on that. Isn't that interesting? But in any case, so he had all those prejudices. Archie Bunker, would be his hero. But he also employed anybody who was willing to work, and mortgaged their homes, and things like that. So he taught me core values: honesty, forthrightness, speak up, and I guess my mother taught me not to get in the New York Times front page. But in any case, that's who he was, and it's only recently that I've admired his positive thing, that has given me a lot of who I am. Thank you.
My late Uncle Bill, who was my father's older brother, highly educated, world-traveled, no children of his own. I'm one of 4 children, and for some reason he took a special, he gave special attention to me, as he saw that I was not getting what I needed from my parents. And he was the person who encouraged me to become a lawyer. But I always remember the red boots that he bought me and the poncho that was so fashionable, and my parents wouldn't buy it for me, and he did. He was cool, but he was just so loving and so perceptive in seeing that I was in pain.
I'll talk about my great-grandmother, Dory. She was a small, spitfire, sparky woman who had such a joy for life and such a, just enthusiasm about everything and everyone around her. It's something I would really like to embody. And I would also say, not past, but I'm a scientist, so I get a lot of my curiosity from Bill Nye the Science Guy. So liven it up a bit.
Thank you. I'm going to mention another ethical culture heroine, and that's Jane Addams. We're going to talk about Anna Garland Spencer later, and many of you in your societies have recommended people to get the Anna Garland Spencer Award. Jane Addams was also an ethical culture lecturer in Chicago. She and Anna Garland Spencer co-founded the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and she created a real home. Hull House was a home for people, and so I really want to recognize and lift her up. And thank you for the 10-minute warning.
We're going to pass around another ribbon now. This ribbon, you're just going to think it through. I'd like you to see this ribbon as aliveness, something that Jay Hooper quoted this morning, our aliveness. So I'm passing this around so that we can think about people who are alive, us with each other that are alive, people that you're really appreciating being on earth with right now. And so this is in honor of our mutual aliveness, and I'm going to pass it around, but we're not going to speak about it, just to feel it and find it in yourself and weave.
And of course, we have something from Felix Adler to go along with this. As light is light when it strikes on objects, so life is life when it touches other life. We live truly in our radiations. We grow and develop in proportion as we help others grow and develop. The question of paramount importance, therefore, to be kept ever before the mind is this: how, as a matter of fact, am I influencing the people with whom I come in contact?
Okay. And we're going to, at the same time as we're focusing on this red ribbon of aliveness, we're going to begin to pass the yellow ribbon. And you can see that we've worked through our green, earth, and water to celebrating our ancestors, to celebrating our aliveness. And now the question is, how is ethical culture or your ethical experience shining within your life? And how are you radiating that out into the world? So just as you pass the yellow ribbon or find the yellow ribbon in your hands, you can kind of look into your answer of that. How you can say, I shine, and then wonder about how that's shining in you, your ethical life, and how you're radiating that shine out into the world.
And Felix again, we were talking about his name, and Felix is happiness, lightness, joy. Adler's a German for eagle. At the Ethical Culture Felsen School, and I'm on the board since we founded that a couple of years after Ethical Culture. They're called the Fieldston Eagles. So, Adler again. As soon as we learn to speak and act with a view to promoting just the good in others, the whole atmosphere in which we breathe changes. A kind of perpetual sunshine illuminates our inner world. The clouds of hate and the mists of passionate feeling dissolves, and peace reigns within the borders of the soul. Now, I know that we're getting close to you're our timekeeper, yeah. And somebody said, you're not going to make us sing, are you? No one's going to make you do anything. However, I think one song that we all know is This Little Light of Mine. So, we're changing the words a little bit to... Go ahead. Take it away.
You can see it here. Weaving us together, we're going to let us shine, okay? All right. If you'd like to stand, you can. And if you'd like to dance your ribbon, you can. If you'd like to sit and just have it tugged on by the dancers around you, that's also okay. All right? Here we go. Weaving us together, we're gonna let us shine. Weaving us together, we're gonna let us shine. Weaving us together, we're gonna let us shine. Let us shine, let us shine, let us shine. Thank you, ethical friends. Thank you so much. We're going to ask permission to decorate our stage a little bit with our ribbons so that our shared values, as they've been expressed through this time together, can be sort of reflected upon and celebrated and make our space colorful. So as we make a transition, what we can do in order to make that happen is you can just take a few steps in, and those of you who are down there, you want to step all the way to the stage and just put it down almost like a flower. So you're like making little petals, and then later on I will find a way to hang it. I'd like to make one reminder before we say bon appetit to each other to please take the gift we are giving, this QR code. We really hope that you will dive into the course that we've written. It is the collection of literally our whole careers in ethical culture offered to you as a set of insights about how we can create our culture in a colorful, loving, playful, joyful way. So as you do that course, please feel welcome to talk with us or write to us, give us feedback, let us know how it's living in your experience and in your community.